Hey guys, today instead of stretching, I'm going to show you how to strengthen your glutes, your lower abs. A lot of guys have anterior pelvic tilt, and a lot of people in general from sitting at desks and lack of mobility. What this means is you can demonstrate it if you push your stomach, your belly button straight out. Notice this rounding, excessive arching in your lower back. Your pelvis is tilted anteriorly, meaning instead of being in a straight line the way it should be, it's tilting forward. So you'll often see this, and you can demonstrate this with, I don't know if you can see this, but the way your posture should be, with your glutes tight and your lower abs, your belly button being pulled in toward the spine, straight down. You have two lines pointing forward and backwards. If you have anterior pelvic tilt though, you're going to notice that it's going to tilt. This line here, instead of being straight, it's going to shoot up, and this one's going to go down. So you're literally going to have excessive rounding in the lower back. It'd be like if you purposely try to push your stomach just straight out and arch your lower back. A lot of people have back pain due to mobility issues, but also due to the fact that the glutes and the lower abs aren't strong enough. So you're starting to have this curvature, all right? What our goal is, and Sam Denton, this one's for you, brother. Everybody has this, but you mentioned back pain. I think this will help with it, along with mobility and stretching, like for everyone, me included. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna wanna strengthen the glutes and the lower abs, so that instead of the stomach poking out and the lower back rounding, if you're standing there right now and you're trying this, and you're demonstrating this and you can feel that pain and pressure and discomfort, I want you to just squeeze your glutes, literally just flex your butt cheeks, squeeze your glutes, and at the same time, pull your belly button towards your spine. Obviously not if it hurts bad and it's painful or anything, but just give it a try. Try to relax, push your belly button straight out, let your lower back arch. You'll notice that the pelvis tilts forward, all right? And then as I squeeze the glutes, hold the belly button to the spine, you're going to notice, among other things, a difference in your posture. So you're going from this to this, right? Squeezing the glutes, holding your belly button toward your spine, and squeezing those lower abdominals, okay? The reason I'm showing you that is because we're going to do an exercise here that is often butchered, and this is going to be the glute bridge. So when you're doing your glute bridges, you'll often see people doing this, come in here, and then frequently you'll see arching the lower back to push the belly button toward the sky. And now look, we're in the same position when we should be here. Now we're here, right? So easiest way to isolate your glutes the best is to have your shins straight up and down. If I pull my feet in toward my butt and the shins start to angle this way, and you were to do your bridges here, if you had the mobility, which is tough for me, if I do my bridges here, it's gonna use my quads more, the front of my legs. And if I leave my feet out, it's gonna use the hamstrings more. Doesn't mean it's not going to strengthen your glutes. It doesn't mean you're going to lose the whole exercise, but that's where the focus will shift. So if you're able to, depending on your mobility, if you're able to get your shins pretty perpendicular to the ground, pretty straight up and down, right? This is the best way to do a glute bridge. As you bridge up, I want you to practice with me. Try what I just told you. All you have to do is, I would say just bridge up however you feel like now, and then I'm going to squeeze my glutes and pull my belly button toward my spine and squeeze those lower abs in. And if you notice, my hips went, you're looking at the hip joint here, guys. Hip joint right here. You can bridge up and arch your back all you want to, and the hip joint still be what we call muted hips, meaning they're not fully extended into a straight line. When you do a proper bridge, this is a straight line through this joint, right? A lot of people will have the hips down and muted, the lower back is arched, there's an arch here, and then they're pushing their belly button up to do their bridge, right? You're missing the whole golden zone of the exercise. If you can bridge up, squeeze your glutes, and then pull your lower abs in by thinking about drawing your belly button towards your spine while flexing the glutes, you'll notice that the hip joint goes from here, what was that? Several inches, 2 inches, that extra inch or two, that's what you're looking for on a glute bridge, okay? So here's your progression. You can start on the ground. I like to set the glutes and the belly button a little bit at the bottom and then come up and then get that extra inch by squeezing the glutes and pushing the belly button toward the spine. Hold it for 1 second, actively squeezing the abs and the glutes. And then I like to lower down, slow and controlled without touching the ground, and then bridge right back up. All right, if that's too much, you can come down, take a breath, reset every time. You can bridge back up, and if you can't do the hold for a second or two, you can just come right back down. You can also come out of the position, shake out. You start where you start. It's a progression, it's a process, okay? But if you're able, the progression is this. Over time, you should be able to start to get more and more reps coming up and holding, and then reset, and then eventually coming up, holding with that proper full extension, lowering down slowly, not touching the ground, and then coming right back up. So I like to do sets of 10 to 20 reps with a 1 to 2 second hold, a lowering phase under control, and then right back to it. That's gonna burn, it's gonna hurt, but if you start out doing reps where you have to reset every time, maybe you do 2 or 3 reps, take a break, that's fine. Write it down. The next week, you'll notice now I'm doing 5 and 5. Now I'm doing 8, 6, 4, 4, 2, whatever it is. Try to accumulate 20 reps for a set, and then try to accumulate a couple of sets of 20 reps. And then eventually over time, start chaining the reps together, start holding the pause at the top, start controlling the descent more slowly, and start not touching the ground. Work your way up, right? And so it's just like adding weight to an exercise. You're gonna progressively make it a little bit harder over time, all right? Now, what I just showed you is also gonna go into our lower ab work here, guys. All right, so the key for this is you don't wanna have your lower back arched to where it's off the ground, right? You don't want any of this arch in your lower back. You wanna engage the glutes, pull that core in, and there is no space under my lower back, as opposed to this. We don't want this hand coming through. Hey, we want it down flat. That's where you want it, okay? So with your lower back on the ground, here's your progression. You're not gonna really be able to squeeze the glutes a whole lot here, but you will be able to focus. The whole movement is based on pulling my low belly button toward my spine, keeping my back on the ground, all right? You're gonna just hold it here with your feet out at a 90. If you can do this for long periods of time and it's not challenging at all, phenomenal. You don't have to start at this progression. Some people will. Some people, just to squeeze the abs in and hold this, they're gonna start to get shaky. You're gonna start to see loss of stability. It's gonna start to get hard. Your lower back's gonna wanna pop up off the ground, right? Because those muscles aren't developed yet. That's fine. If you're doing sets of 10 and 20, 30 seconds of a hold, and you can work up longer times, accumulate a little more time total, maybe work up to a total of like 2 minutes, you are strengthening the deep core muscles that are underneath the six pack. As we correct imbalances and build the deep core, the muscles under the six pack, those will take care of themselves. You can have a phenomenal six pack, weak muscles under the core, injure yourself all the time doing movements, still have bad mobility. It can look good on the outside, but there can be no substance of strength where it matters. The muscles around the spine. Your core is a circle that goes 360. Front, left, and right quadrants, back, left, and right quadrants, your obliques. There's muscles that connect your upper body on the front side and the back side. The core is what ties the upper and lower together. So if you want to start out with an easy core strengthening, it's going to be that. And again, it's going to tie into your glute bridges, which will tie into your squats. Learning how to maintain that ab in and glute engagement keeps your back in a safe position as we start to learn how to squat. 10 minutes, okay, good. All right, so your next progression here is lower back all the way on the ground, belly button pulled toward the spine, good core engagement. You're gonna bring your feet out, right? They don't have to go all the way out, right above the floor. Now that's awesome, but if you just bring them out a little bit, hold it. You hear my voice getting a little shaky because these abs are engaged. Awesome, and come back, right? You can build a workout here. You can see how many reps you can do. Maybe I'm holding for 5 seconds, coming back. Maybe I'm holding for 10 seconds, coming back. Maybe I'm holding out here for 30, 45 seconds. That's great. It's probably time for you to go up to the next phase, which will be to bring the feet all the way out. You can try to lower them down. If at any point in any of these progressions, your lower back pops up off the ground and you can't keep the core engagement, that's okay. That's what you're actually looking for. That means you've reached the point where you just don't have the endurance and the strength in those muscles. It lets you know you're on the right part of the progression. If you can just bring your feet out and hold them for 30 seconds and bring them back and rock and roll, that's fine, that's great. What you're gonna do is, what I do all the time now, for the last couple of years here, is I'll get my feet at a 90, and there's a lot of variations. This is the first one I would teach you. I'm gonna keep my feet at a 90, pull those abs in. If you wanna add a little difficulty, you can bring them out. But you're gonna hold a kettlebell in your hands, a dumbbell, anything. I'd say probably start with 10, 15, 20 pounds. If you're an animal and your core is phenomenal, start with a 30, 35. You're gonna hold that kettlebell and do a pullover, which means bring it over your head toward the ground. And if your lower back pops up off the ground, stop. Those aren't good reps. Lower the weight. Maybe don't go down quite that far. Maybe you can only go down halfway. But if you can take a kettlebell or a dumbbell and lower it all the way to the ground, pulling that belly button toward the spine the whole time, and then back up without resting it on the ground, that is a phenomenal version of a pullover, which isn't trying to develop your lats, guys. We're not trying to build the arms. We're not trying to get jacked. We're trying to see if we can keep that belly button down and that lower back down on the ground while we extend it out, right? The longer the lever, the more force on the other side of the lever, right? It's basic physics. So if we can hold a kettlebell and lower it all the way to the ground, at this point, the other side of that lever is your core. And if the abs don't release, if the back doesn't pop up off the ground, if it's very difficult, but you're able to keep that lower back flat on the ground as your arms come down right to the floor. I use a kettlebell because I can use the bottom of the handle, flip it around. And what I'm doing is I'm bringing that kettlebell down so that when the handle touches the floor, it's a few inches away. That way I know as soon as there's a light touch, I bring it back up. Not fast, not violent, controlled, but I bring it back up. Ooh, ab cramp, good. I bring it back up till it's right ahead of me. Okay, so that's your progression from a hold to legs out further for reps, for time, any combination you want to make up. Maybe you do 10 reps of bringing the legs slowly out and in, and then you do a 30-second hold. Play jazz a little, have fun. And then if that's too easy, go with the kettlebell pullover progression. If you can do 2 or 3 sets of 10 to 12, 15 reps with a 30, 35 pound kettlebell, I've got a new progression for you next time. You're ready for that. But if you can't do that, and a lot of the people these videos are for, who are going to be watching these, are beginners. If you start out and you're just holding your feet at a 90, you're also building hip stability, because as your feet are up here, your lower back's on the ground. As your feet are up here, your hips rotate. It's a ball in a socket, right? So all of this leg movement, these hips rotating, right? So the more your legs start to get shaky, you're not only developing your core, but we're developing the strength in all the little hip stabilizers, all the little hip muscles and connective tissue around those hip joints. Because you can have big pumped up muscles, and you can have a weak core, and you can have weak joints, and you're not effective. You're not going to be able to transfer power from your upper to lower body. For most of us, the mobility work that I'm doing on the stretching videos, if we can pull, if your lower back is arched, and we can start to pull those lower abs in, and we can start to pull the glutes, strengthen the glutes, it's what it's going to do is take that curvature, start to straighten it out. It's gonna help posture. You're gonna notice benefits in your upper back. If the lower back's rounded like that, often you see the upper back rounded the opposite way. You get the hunched over typing posture here. You'll see a lower back that's so tight and the stomach's out. At the same time with the upper back here. The more you can affect one area, it's gonna go up and down the chain and yield benefits. All right, and since we want to do at least one stretch a day for you to learn, here's a phenomenal one you can start with, guys. All right, easy version of a quad stretch. If you need to wrap a towel around there and pull it up because you can't grab your ankle, that is fine. A lot of people, though, will be able to grab their ankles. The common mistake made with this stretch is pulling the ankle toward the butt, but you see how my knee is out in front? The point of this stretch, guys, is to grab your ankle and not try to jam the ball of my foot toward my butt as much as I want to pull back here. Now, I also want to engage that lower abs, engage the glute on the other side, both the glutes, right? But I want to slowly pull my knee past the midline, guys. Past that line where my other leg is, right? It doesn't matter if I'm out here and I can pull my foot all the way to my butt. That's not what the stretch is. The stretch is, without arching my back and arching my lower back with good posture, I'm trying to pull my foot up and behind me, and then you'll feel a stretch, and especially the top of your quad. We're here what people call the hip flexors. If you're feeling the stretch in the quad, that's great. It is a quad stretch, but you really want to stretch this middle part, the top of the leg connecting to the core. So if you're able to pull back, I want you to pull back here, past here, keeping all the other factors the same, engagement in the core, the glutes, and you'll notice that I feel the stretch in my quad. I do down by my knee, in the bottom part of the quad, as well as in that top part. Right? And so you can hold this here and you can do our breath work. Breathe in for 4 seconds and out for 4. All right. You can hold that for a minute or two at a time, set a timer. We're not going to be doing a stretching flow today. This is just a little quick teaching tutorial. All right, again, remember, most people are going to have one side tighter than the other. That's totally normal. Same thing here. I've got good posture, up and down. I'm going to slowly pull that knee back, pulling my foot not only toward the butt, but also up. Breathing through your nose only is preferred. If you need to breathe out through your mouth, that's fine. I'm demonstrating this because I'm not sure how well you can see my hands and hear my breath through the disco lights in the upper room worship set that I've got on in the background. At any point, if you lose your balance, it's okay. If you need to take a break, take a breather. I would do 2 minutes at a time on each side. Try to build up to a total of 2 minutes if you can't do it all straight. And you notice I'm using a wall for a reason, guys. Don't do this in the middle of the room. If your stabilizers are a problem, even for me, it's going to be hard. I've been doing these a long time. It's going to be hard for me to do 2 minutes. I'm not trying to work on stability and overexert all the little stabilizer muscles. I actually want to take all that out of the equation, focus on one variable at a time, okay? So breathe with me here. Out. In. And out. And stretch this. Pull in here. And then lean it back at the torso a little, as long as your lower back doesn't arch. Now, for anyone who can't do that move, that pose standing up, here's your version. And I do this one too from time to time, on purpose, just to mix it up. Maybe I'm tired and standing up like that is just stuff starting to cramp up in other areas for whatever reason. It's totally fine, and this is a great place to start if you need to. I'm going to start down on the ground. It's going to be the same thing. Grab the foot, lower abs just engaged. You don't have to squeeze it to death. You don't have to make it, don't make it painful, please. Pull your lower abs towards your belly button a little. Pull that foot back. Trying to pull that knee past that middle line. My knee is in line with my other leg. Change here. So here, leg is straight out. My knee's right here. If you feel the squeeze here, that's fine. If you have to go here and just any of this is a stretch, start there, that's great. But you can pull that knee back, pull the foot toward the butt and up towards your back, and get the knee behind the other knee right here. Feeling a good stretch in the quad and in here. And then simply flip over to the other side, grab your other ankle, and do the other side, guys. Enjoy this one, and I'll see you next time.